Hi, everybody. So this is really exciting. We are here to talk about the summer movie, 2017 summer movie season. Me and my friend David did a summer movie preview. So now we're doing the summer movie sort of recap or assessment. And so it should be a lot of fun. And so David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm David. I am a big movie fan. I host, or I'm the admin for a group on Facebook, Film Freaks. I don't know what else you need to know about me.
Cool. Yeah. So we had I think 25 films that we talked about in our preview. So we're going to go through and talk about what our thoughts were. If I think probably one of us or both of us saw almost all of these films, so we're gonna give it a smile worthy or a frown worthy, and so sort of like thumbs up, thumbs down, what we thought. And so we're starting out May 5th. It was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What did you think about Guardians 2?
Okay. When I left the theaters, I was debating, is this my favorite movie of the year so far? It left a really strong impression of me. Now that 3+ months have passed, I don't really remember the movie as well,
Yeah.
which isn't a great sign for me. So, I have an ongoing list that I keep for my yearly movie ranks, and I've had to drop it down a few spots. Every every month, I've probably dropped it a little bit further, just
Yeah.
because it hasn't left a lasting impression on me. I do remember loving Baby Groot. But really, that's the biggest thing that's saying, oh, I liked Mantis as well a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the two things that really stood out to me and had a lasting impression. I'm looking forward to watching it again because I'm sure I'll fall in love with it again. But as far as something that's going to leave a strong, lasting impression, it didn't do that.
Yep. I was actually pretty disappointed in this movie. It's not awful. It's not like you're gonna be miserable watching it, but I guess maybe I had really high expectations because I really liked the original. And I just thought that they made such a poor decision in breaking up the team dynamic that you had in the first movie, which had been so well developed. And I found, because they split up the team, that I ended up feeling kind of annoyed at the different characters, and sort of where they all sort of balanced each other out in the first one. Now it was like there was a whole lot of Drax for a while, and then you'd leave him, and then you'd be with Rocket for a while, and I just found myself getting more annoyed with the characters than I should have been, I guess. And I just thought the Ego was a total miss. I really didn't like it. And I thought the that whole Nebula and Gamora plotline didn't work for me. I thought she totally overcooked it, with the I'm gonna get you, kind of thing. And I don't know. I was disappointed in it, so I actually would give that a frown, not a smile.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's my biggest disappointment of the summer. It's again not awful, but I didn't think it was good either.
Yeah.
So
I see where you're coming from. I definitely wouldn't give it a frown, but just based on my expectations, I think it has left a little bit to be desired. I see what you mean about the Gamora Nebula plot. I thought
yeah.
there was even some inconsistency because in the first movie, you had Nebula telling Gamora, "You're my favorite sister," and then in this one, she has so much resentment from favoritism that she had, and
Yeah.
it's this doesn't really gel with the first movie so much.
Well, yeah, and the
Um,
Yondu plot was good, but there was inconsistencies there also because,
right.
he obviously tries to kill Peter in the original film, and
Yeah.
so it didn't quite make sense. And so yeah, it's one that I came out of the theater being like, oh. And I know sort of the more I thought about it, the more sort of sour I felt about it, and I don't know. So that's definitely my biggest disappointment of the year. It's really the first Marvel movie that has kind of let me down like that. I there's some I've liked less than others, but this is the first one that I don't know. I feel like everybody has their Marvel bubble burst eventually, and I guess this was
Yeah.
mine. So anyway,
Yeah, mine was a while ago. Iron Man 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
um,
I actually I have an ongoing list of my movies, my rankings for the year, which I just
Okay.
mentioned.
Yeah, please.
So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and tell you where I've put some of these
Please.
movies
Yeah.
as we talk about them.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
So this one, initially, I put it at number 2 when I left the movie theaters. Keep in mind, there were other movies that came out after that I put
Sure.
up high as well. But this has dropped down to 9 for me.
Okay.
Out of 44 movies that
And
I've
that's
seen this year.
okay for the whole year then. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So and then we had May 12th was King Arthur, Legend of the
Smiley, by the way. Smiley.
I was like,
Not-
yeah, okay, good. So the King Arthur Legend of the Sword was the next release. And did you see this? I saw it.
Okay, I couldn't bring myself to see it. I talked about it last time that this is not something that interested me. So thank you for suffering through this for both of us.
Yes, it was awful. Frown worthy all the way. It was just like, it was as if Guy Ritchie just said, I'm going to like throw everything at the screen. I mean, it was just exhausting and it wasn't fun to me. It just looked like a video game, I thought. And the first 20 minutes were pretty okay. I thought, oh, maybe they're doing something interesting, but I don't know. It just was so stupid and so badly written. And so it just was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And yeah, and what's his name? I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Jude Law, totally hamming it up, but it wasn't fun to me. And I don't know. There's this whole scene with this giant snake that like was I don't know. It didn't work. It just was bad. So yeah, they made me really nervous about Aladdin, and it reminded me of Warcraft. It wasn't quite as boring as Warcraft was, but it just frustrates me because it's like the story of King Arthur has been compelling for generations. You know, it's like suddenly we're too good to have, like, we have to be throwing giant snakes and weird octopus women and like, yeah, like why can't we just have a King Arthur story? Like, anyway, yeah, we got a couple bad King Arthur stories this summer, which was strange. But anyway, so then you had that same day you had Snatched open. I think you saw this.
Yes, I saw. I was the one who took this for the team. I had high expectations for Snatched. I like Amy Schumer. I like her comedy. I was disappointed with it. It felt pretty formulaic. It felt predictable, and it definitely did not leave a lasting impression on me. I won't say I didn't like it. Like, I enjoyed it enough while I was in the theater, but it's definitely been one of the weaker spots for me this summer, which surprised me. But yeah, I'll tell you where I had this ranked for the year. I have it at 30 out of 44. So
pretty
that's
low.
like a high C for me. But still, I think Amy Schumer's capable of better.
It's disappointing with Goldie Hawn coming back after 15 years. You think that she would pick a better script, better role?
You would. And I think part of her draw was Amy Schumer. She has like charisma that a lot of actresses and actors are drawn to her and really like her as a person. So I bet that had something to do with her coming out of retirement, I guess you could say, for this film. But yeah, it was a letdown. Even Goldie Hawn, her character was too one-dimensional for me. She was like the appeasing mother the whole film and trying to sacrifice everything for her daughter, like, even though her daughter was not appreciating it. So yeah, I feel like I can't give it a frown because it's not awful. I'm being hard on it. I'm being hard on it because I was disappointed, but I would give it, like, is there anything in between a smiley and a frown here? Dare I say meh, like
a meh? All right.
Emoji Movie? No.
We can have a meh if you want. Okay. But yeah, it sounds like it's more on the side of the thumbs down kind of idea.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give it a frown just to keep it binary here.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so May 19th, we had Alien Covenant. I did not see this. What did you think
Oh,
of? Did you see Alien
yeah, I
Covenant?
did see it. Yeah, I saw it. I was not super optimistic for this because I I haven't seen a lot of the Alien franchise. I did see Prometheus, which it bored me. It didn't really work for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually did enjoy this. It had its issues.
No, it's pretty
Um,
divisive.
but yeah, it's it got into the action pretty quickly, which I appreciated. It had an interesting concept. It felt a bit like a Riddick movie. I don't know if you've seen any of those.
I know of them, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah, it felt like a better version of them to me.
Mm,
So I can appreciate that. But yeah, I think I would give it a smiley.
okay.
Um, it worked for me. I'm not like itching to see it again, but I would watch it again. I'll definitely buy it again, but I buy everything, so
Right.
that's
Okay.
not saying a lot. um, yeah, I'll tell you where this plays for me. It's 25, so it's only 5 spots higher than Snatch for me.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay. It's about
but
in
it's
the middle.
definitely I thought I would like Snatched a lot better. So
Right.
I think
Okay.
expectation has a lot to do with it. So yeah, it's a solid B for me.
Okay. Then I had Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul, which I did see. I guess I
I
took that
didn't.
bullet. It was really bad. It wasn't. There had a couple funny moments, but for the most part, it was just a lot of toilet humor. And I've never seen any of the other Wimpy Kid movies, so I have no
Okay.
attachment to the series. But it, it, I could see maybe small kids, laughing at some of the stuff, but it's certainly I couldn't recommend it.
Okay.
Frown
Yeah.
worthy.
I didn't see it. I saw the first two Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies. So I don't have a lot of like attachment to this franchise. I did find it odd. I drove by our local movie rental place the other day, and they're always promoting what new releases they have, and it said Diary of a Wimpy Kid 4. And I'm like, this isn't really Diary of a Wimpy Kid 4, is it? It's like a
It's almost like
reboot.
it's almost like a reboot.
Yeah, so I thought
They
that
didn't
was
have any choice because the kids are very old.
exactly
So
exactly
what are you gonna do? I think the kids in the original movie are like 18.
probably.
So I don't know. It just was just a little. It would have been okay if it was like a Disney Channel original movie. That's kind of where
Mhm.
it was at. It wasn't really a feature film.
Yeah.
But and then we had that same weekend, Everything, Everything. I actually really liked this one. I thought it was for what it. You kind of have to look sometimes at movies is what is it trying to be and does it achieve it being that? And this is a teen romance, and I think it achieves it being a satisfying teen romance. The chemistry was really good. I thought they used some creative touches because she's obviously in this house, he's outside of the house, and so they're communicating via text message, and that could be really boring, but the way they did it was actually pretty creative, I thought. And they had good chemistry together as a couple, which to me in a romance is like 90% of the battle. If if they have good chemistry, then it just makes everything. It does get really pretty silly towards the end, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid little romantic movie.
Okay. So yeah, I didn't see this, but I will buy it eventually. And I do look forward to seeing it. It's not like one that I was clamoring to see,
Yeah.
obviously. But yeah, I that makes me more optimistic to see it after
Yeah,
hearing you talk about
and
it.
they didn't. There were a couple places where I thought they could have gone into like total Nicholas Sparksian melodrama, and they held back a little bit, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
So that was good, and I just really liked the lead couple. That to me made a difference, and they're just very creative about how they stage these conversations. So anyway, so I think it was a success. I'd give it a smile. So finally, out of all, I'd give it a smile. Um, okay, then May 26th, we had Baywatch. Did you see that?
I did not.
Me either.
Okay, we have our first one that neither of us saw. Yeah, it just got eviscerated with its reviews. So I was already not very intrigued by it. So that just
Right.
pushed it over the edge for me. So
Yeah, especially when I heard about how vulgar it was, that
yeah.
wasn't going to be something I was going to see. It's a shame because I think that you could have done something funny. Like you could have done a sort of a parody style thing. I think with good writing, it sounds like it was just really really bad. So
Yep. Well,
I don't know.
I'm sure
really,
we would have given it browns.
yes, I'm sure. Okay, that same weekend you had Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales. So I actually surprisingly give this a smile because I thought it was solid, adequate blockbuster. Like I did not like the second one. I did not like the third one. The fourth one is okay, but it feels more like an Indiana Jones movie, I think, than a Pirates movie. And this, it has lots of problems, but I would just be like right on the edge of being like just entertaining enough. Like some of the action set pieces were, I thought, fun enough, and it does drag in the last 45 minutes. I think that Johnny Depp is he's plays Jack too drunk. Like he usually is kind of drunk, but he's usually still sort of smart, and he's just a little bit too out of it. Some of the stuff where they were trying to get you to feel emotion didn't really work. Some of the special effects look better than other special effects. I think the attempt to try to kind of bring it back to Will Turner, I don't think that really worked, and Elizabeth Swann. So there were problems, but there were just enough, just barely. I would barely give it. It got a C+ for me. I'd barely give it a mild smile.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. Here's what I'm going to do. Snatched is the barometer for me for what's a smile and a frown. Okay. Anything that I ranked above it, I'll give a smile. Anything below it is a frown.
All right.
So this ranked above it. I put this at 28 for the year. So I'm going to give it a smile, but it's a weak smile because it's a lot like Guardians. It didn't leave a lasting impression on me. I can visualize that the ending with the way I won't spoil too much, but there's the ocean kind of parting. Yeah. Like I can visualize that well. I can't remember a lot else about the movie. I did like it. I definitely have a better sentiment about it than the fourth movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The fourth movie. So yeah, it was pretty good. I felt like there were some surprises that they gave away too quickly, either through trailers or through the movie just making them a little too obvious. So that was a little disappointing. But overall, yeah, I did like it, and I need to watch it again.
Mm-hmm. But I think it was saved a little bit by low expectations. I had very low expectations going into it, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. But I did like that guillotine scene. That was probably my favorite scene of the movie. That was pretty fun. So
I forgot about that as well.
Yeah. It was certainly I was worried that it was going to be this year's Alice Through the Looking Glass, and it certainly was not anywhere near that. So that's good. But I wish that they weren't making any more. We don't need any more Pirates movies. We really don't. So, okay. So then we had June 2nd, we had Captain Underpants. And this was a huge surprise for me. I thought that it was I really liked it. It's probably my favorite mainstream animated film of the year, which isn't saying much because this year has sucked. But I don't know. I thought it was so creative. All the different animation techniques that they used, how it would go to 2D, and then you'd have sections in the comic book, and then you'd have that they had that flipogram section, and then there was the sock puppets, and I don't know. I just thought it continually was really surprising and inventive, and I thought it was funny. It made me laugh, and so I actually really enjoyed it. A definite smile for me for Captain Underpants.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen this one. I'm surprised that it's your favorite animated movie, but then again, I can't say anything since I haven't seen it, but I just think of the Lego Batman movie.
The Lego Batman would be my second favorite, but I found with Lego Batman, when I rewatched it, I don't know, it's one of those, some comedies, like the jokes, you can hear them over and over and over again, and they still make you laugh.
Right.
For some reason, the second time I watched it, it just wasn't as funny as the first time I watched it. And I don't know, it ended up going down just a few pegs. I still have it in my top 20 of the year. I still really like it. But I don't know. I just thought that Captain Unders was so inventive and surprising with the animation, so that's why I would give it
Okay.
a little bit of an
Well,
edge.
good. That makes me look forward to checking it out
Yeah.
eventually.
And it's really cool too because I mean, as an animation fan, because DreamWorks only spent like I think it was $38 million on it, which for an animated film is super cheap, especially from DreamWorks. And so it's kind of exciting. I feel like I hope that they continue to kind of go in this more sort of independent route. I mean, it didn't do all that well, so maybe they won't. But I feel like it gives them a little bit more room to take risks and things. So I certainly liked it a million times better than The Boss Baby from DreamWorks this year. So, but of course, The Boss Baby makes all the money. So what do
Right.
I know? What do I know? But yeah, definite smile worthy. I really enjoyed it. And so, but then June 2nd was, it was a big weekend. I think it's part of the reason why Captain Underpants didn't do as well as it could have because it opened the same weekend as Wonder Woman. And I loved Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. I've seen it 4 times in the theater.
Wow.
I loved it. I just connected with her character so much. And I was the first 3 times I saw it, I'm not exaggerating, I was bawling by the end. Like for some reason, it just like, and I'm an easy cry. It's easy to make me cry in a movie, but not that much. I can't think of, I don't know, it just, for some reason, I connected emotionally with her character. And like, I just found it so moving, this idea of this sort of godlike character sort of coming to understand human frailty and how horrible we are sometimes to each other. And when she sort of understands this and understanding war, I thought that was so moving. And I loved Chris Pine and Gal Gadot together. I thought they were so great. I loved like the No Man's Land sequence, just was so exciting for me. It really honestly might be my favorite comic book movie I've ever seen. I loved it. It's definitely in my top 3 for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
But anyway, so it just really worked for me and I really loved it.
Okay. So how does it rank for you for the year then?
It's my second favorite of the year.
Okay. Good. I'm having like hope that we might have the same favorite for the year, but I'm not sure.
No, my favorite is an indie, so
Okay, then I guess.
It's my favorite mainstream of the year.
Okay.
Is Wonder Woman. So.
Okay. Well, don't hate me. I put it at 11, which 11 is good. That's A territory for me. I really enjoyed it. I've been rooting for DC to have some success with their new universe, so I'm happy it's finally coming together. Hopefully, fingers crossed. It was a lot of fun. She was such a rootable character. Like, I don't know if it was like she had this naivete, but she was also so like intelligent and well versed in like everything. Like she was so book smart. So it was just a really endearing combination that made you root for her in a way that we haven't been able to root for the other DC heroes.
Yeah.
So I think Wonder Woman herself was by far the best part of the movie, which is what you want from a movie when it's called Wonder Woman.
And I get that it has some wonky CGI and it does kind of lose itself a little bit in the last act, but I don't know. I was just so invested that I didn't care.
Right. Yeah. I would say the ensemble was not, I mean, I like the ensemble that she had around her. They were not as compelling as a lot of the ensembles that we see in these type of movies. So I think that kind of brought it down slightly for me.
Okay.
They felt like they were shoehorned in there as just other characters that we could just experience and see different dynamics from. So it didn't completely work for me, but that is a nitpick because I really did enjoy it. I thought there were some pretty interesting twists and turns with the movie. So I was definitely very pleased with it.
It's our first both smile worthy.
Yay.
Double smile. Yay.
We did it, finally.
Okay, so then we had June 9th, we had The Mummy. And I finally saw this like in July. I didn't see it when it first came out. But I didn't think it was as awful as like some people were saying, that it was just like horrible. I thought it had some fun action set pieces. It had some. I thought that Sofia Boutella was pretty good as the Mummy, but I thought that the whole attempt to try it into the Dark Universe was a mess. I did not like Russell Crowe in this. I didn't think he was good, and I thought that Tom Cruise was miscast. I hated the buddy comic relief guy that gets mummified.
Oh, right.
Hated him. He was
Spoilers.
horrible. Yeah, I suppose he was awful. I thought he was just awful, and it's not a good movie. But I guess I just didn't think it was like horrible, like some people were saying. I mean, it's definitely, I would give it a frown worthy, but it had some entertaining stuff.
Yeah, this is a C as well for me. So I would give this a frown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was better or worse than I expected because I was so mixed. This is a universe that I'm rooting for because I grew up watching the old Universal horror films.
Yeah.
Back in the day, but so I was really hoping that this is a franchise that I would really enjoy. It was disappointing for me, but once I saw reviews, I was like, it's probably not.
Oh, and the girl, she was terrible.
No, she wasn't. She didn't have any sort of appeal. She's a
No.
generic pretty girl, with no charisma.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel any attachment to her. I agree with the sidekick. I can't remember his name. I just know he's Nick from.
He was very annoying.
He's Nick from New Girl. Yeah, like I thought that what they did with him early on in the movie was interesting. Like I didn't expect for him to have the fate he did, but for him to keep showing up, that's what I didn't like.
Yeah.
I thought it was cheesy. I thought there was a lot cheesy about it. I actually did kind of enjoy Russell Crowe's character. I'm not a big Russell Crowe fan. I think Les Mis kind of turned me off from him.
I know.
But
yeah.
I liked the idea. Is it a spoiler to say his character who he is? I don't know.
I don't think so. They made it pretty obvious in the trailer.
Okay.
I feel like.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't. I guess I hadn't paid attention to the trailers well enough because I didn't really know what character he was. But he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
So I liked that they brought that character in there personally, which I get why it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. Well, it's just so disappointing because like you say, the original Universal monster movies are so fun and this was not scary at all. Like it had some gruesome moments, I guess. And I thought that Sofia Boutella was pretty good. She has such charisma. But I don't know, I felt like why not make a scary movie? Why not make a like more of a horror movie?
Right.
Why, I don't know, it just seems like a missed opportunity. So
yeah, and there is another thing that I have an issue with, and it is a spoiler, but I think I want to address it. So if you don't want to hear it, like skip ahead. I was really excited that the mummy was played by a woman. I thought that was creative, but it turns out that that's not who the mummy is.
Right.
Like in the DC or in the DC universe, the Marvel or
Dark Universe.
The Universal monster. Yeah, the Dark Universe. Yeah. I mean, Tom Cruise is the mummy, which I thought that's really weak.
It just doesn't fit. It's just not a good fit for Tom Cruise. I don't know. He's just too, I don't know. It wasn't good casting. They should have picked somebody that's like a little, somebody would have been perfect as someone like Cillian Murphy, like someone that's like with a little bit of weirdness and darkness to him, like I think someone like that would have worked much better.
Yeah, and I think they should have gone with somebody like younger. It feels like the monsters that they're building here are all guys that are in their 50s.
Yeah, that's true. Because Johnny Depp is in it, and so
I forget. There's another one. Is it Benicio del Toro? I think he's Frankenstein's monster.
I think I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like, okay, how long is this franchise going to last? I mean, it probably won't last very long considering the reviews and how well that did, but you would think that casting younger would help as well. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Agreed. Okay, so that was a disappointment. And it was very disappointing because I put it in my my box office predictions. I put The Mummy. And it was very stupid of me. Okay, so June 16th, Cars 3. And I actually liked this better than I thought I was going to, and I liked it. I I liked it even more the second time I saw it, because we did a podcast on it, so I saw it twice. And I really liked, I mean, it's beautiful, of course, it's a Pixar movie. But I really liked the storyline with Cruz. And I particularly the idea of sort of, you may not be specifically discriminated against in life, but there are certain things that you're just sort of taught you can't do. You can't,
Right.
you just can't. It's not even an option. And I really liked how they kind of took that on. And when she finally is kind of forced by her friends to actually race, I thought it was actually pretty moving. And I loved Jackson Storm. He says to her, he says, "How long do you think you can play dress up?" And I think that that's a sentiment that a lot of women can really relate to. That how long do you think you can sort of play with the big guys, you know, whatever it is your career you're trying to do or goal you're trying to do. And you sort of feel like you're kind of playing a part a little bit, that you don't like really belong. And I don't know, I thought that was such a brilliant line. And it's not certainly a top 10 Pixar movie or anything like that, but I just thought that was really good. And I enjoyed like a lot of the sequences. There's definitely a sequence section that gets kind of boring, but I thought the Demolition Derby was fun sequence, and I liked the music. So overall, I enjoyed. It would be a smile for Cars 3 for me.
Okay. Yeah. Just based on what I said before, anything below Snatch for me, I'm giving a frown. So this is going to get a frown for me,
Okay.
but just barely. I had this at 33 for the year. I did enjoy it. It was better than I thought it would be. But I think Cars 2, I just really am not a fan of. So that tainted my expectations. So it was great that this surpassed my expectations. But still, overall, I don't think it's one of the stronger movies I've seen this summer. I thought it was extremely predictable, the route that it was going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but pretty much the entire direction of the movie, I kind of figured out 30 minutes into it.
Okay.
And I appreciated what story it brought. I thought it was a very important story for kids to see.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't completely work for me. I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I really like this new character, Cruz. And I like that it wasn't major overload like Cars 2.
Yeah. They used them very judiciously.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely watch it again. It just,
yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Like I said, it did have some parts that were kind of boring for me. Okay. But I don't know. I just really, to me, that was the unpredictable part was with Cruz's character and kind of what they did. But yeah, it definitely follows a certain sort of sports movie formula for sure.
Right.
So, okay. So then also that weekend you had Rough Night. Did you see this?
I did.
What'd you think?
Well, we had the 3 raunchy women ensemble movies coming out this summer.
Yeah.
This was the one I was least optimistic about. But it far surpassed my expectations.
Oh, interesting.
We had a group of, we had a group of us. We were sitting on the top row and all of us were just cracking up throughout the whole movie. It was very funny for me. Let me tell you where I put that. 12. I put it right below Wonder Woman. So it's a low A for me. I thought that the various characters, they worked very well together. They played off each other well. I don't remember how well this did on Rotten Tomatoes.
It didn't do very good.
Top of your head. I feel like I didn't think it did well. So I maybe that also added to my lower expectations and me just being very pleased with what I saw. 40? It had 40?
48%. So I guess it's half and half.
Yeah. Well, I was in the positive half then. I mean, not that I'm a Rotten Tomatoes critic. Right. But I would definitely recommend it for people who don't mind that kind of comedy. I wouldn't recommend it to Rachel.
Yeah, fair enough. Did you see All Eyes on Me?
I didn't.
Yeah, me either. So we both skipped that. It just got really bad reviews. So, okay. So moving on then. So June 23rd, we had Transformers: The Last Night. And yeah, it made me literally nauseous for the whole rest of the evening. It was it's so frustrating because it had the potential, I think, to be just like zany, ridiculous nonsense and fun in that regard, because you have all of these elements and all, you have King Arthur. This is the second bad King Arthur movie, but you've got sort of King Arthur and you got Merlin and you've got Winston Churchill and you got, well, it didn't end up being Winston Churchill, but I think they made that change last minute. But anyway, you've got all this stuff going in there. It could have been just silly and ridiculous and fun on that level, but it really wasn't. And it was just so like frustratingly made, the way that the screen kept zooming in and out, in and out, in and out. And so you're like, oh, I'm going to be sick. And the way that the action was just like, to me, it was nauseating. And I went with my friend to this like super fancy theater and where they like brought you food and stuff. And so like, I said, like, if I didn't enjoy it, even in like the absolute best of circumstances that you could possibly see a movie in, then that's saying something. I don't think it's as bad as 4 or 2, but I would put it as my third favorite. I'd rank it as the third best Transformers movies, which is like ranking. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. So brown for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. So this is the first one since the first movie that I haven't seen in the theaters.
Yeah.
I watched 2, 3, 4 in the theaters, which I don't know why, because I've never really enjoyed these movies.
Well, the trailers have always been pretty good, and you think, oh, this will be the one where they'll figure it out, and it'll be something entertaining, and but the trailers weren't good, and it wasn't good. And I think it'll be better on home screen because, like I said, it just made me sick on the big screen. So yeah, it's one of my worst of the year. It's really bad.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
not surprised.
If the movie almost makes me throw up, then that's bad. That's a bad sign. It would just Ugh. But anyway, too long. Also, at least it wasn't as long as the fourth one. Thank goodness. But the female character was horrible. The dialogue is horrible. It makes no sense. The plot is awful. It just wasn't fun, and it should have been fun. So
yeah, it looked, based on the trailer, it looked like it was taking itself way too seriously. So I didn't know if that would be the case.
Yeah, exactly. And it had like a million plot points. You could tell that they had this writer's room and they had like all of these ideas and they just like put them all into one movie, because you got like the little girl and you've got that's in there like for like 2 segments, and then you don't see her again, and you've got like, I don't know, you got the Merlin stuff and you've got all of this stuff, and it's just a mess. So too bad. I don't think, I hope that, because we're going to get a Bumblebee movie from Travis Knight, who did Kubo and the Two Strings.
Really?
And let's, maybe now that it's out of Michael Bay's hands and with somebody who's sort of creative, that maybe we'll get something good. Who knows?
Okay.
So, and there was way too little fighting Nazis. Like, that should have been fun. Like, Transformers fighting Nazis should have been fun. Oh well. Okay. So June 30th, we got Despicable Me 3. This would be it's right on the edge. I'm not a big fan of this franchise in general. I have to give it a frown worthy, but I didn't hate it. So this would probably be my meh one. It's way better than Minions, and I think it's probably better than Despicable Me 2. I liked the villain. He was pretty funny. I thought that they had a couple gags that made me laugh. I liked this idea of the Kristen Wiig character trying to figure out how to be a mom and kind of exploring things. That was pretty good. So there was some good stuff, but I did not like Drew and Gru. I didn't like that at all. That whole plot was horrible and very annoying. And that's like the major plot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I put this at 27 for the year, so I'll give it a smile, but it's a weak one.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was one where I actually dozed off a little bit in the theater, which I don't always blame the movie for that. I usually go to movies on Tuesdays after I've worked the full day, and I am often tired. So I think that was the case with this. I did enjoy it. I thought the kids were cute as always. I like the Minions. But I did think Drew was my least favorite part of it. I didn't I didn't like his character. I didn't like what he brought to it.
Yeah, he was
I
annoying.
guess there's a whole family dynamic they keep building on each movie, which is great, yeah, but it didn't completely work for me. But overall, it was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a weak smile.
I did laugh and it takes a lot for the Minions to make me laugh because I'm just not a Minions fan. But I did think it was pretty funny when they were in the talent show and they sang Modern Major General.
Oh yes,
That was funny. So, yeah.
that was pretty funny.
And right around this time, if we're talking about ones that we didn't talk about last time, and I know we have very different opinions about this, but it was when 47 Meters Down came out. And this is my idea of a fun popcorn silly movie. I had a blast. I saw it twice in the theaters. I guess I like shark movies. I'm a sucker for them. And I thought that it was so cool, this like conceit of this shark movie under the water, because usually you just see the little, the thing, and that's all you see of the shark. And
Right.
and so this like I thought it built, yes, the writing isn't that great, and yes, the acting isn't that great, but I don't go to a shark movie for great acting. I go for like tense situations, and I thought what they did with some of the lighting, and I thought the ending really worked. I thought it was cool, and I really had fun with it. And I know I'm in the minority, but I saw it twice and I walked out both times with a big smile on my face, having really enjoyed it. So
Yeah. And I think it's awesome that you enjoyed it. And I'm not one of those people that I find joy when somebody else hates a movie. Like, I think it's awesome you liked it. I didn't hate it. Like, I was entertained by it, but I didn't think it was good necessarily. And it's actually 38 for me for the year, which isn't great. 38 out of 44. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember your list that you posted the other day.
Right.
And I get it, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I just found it entertaining. Yeah,
I think one of the things that I took issue with was it felt the dialogue. People are in their underwater suits the whole time, so you just hear them talking to each other through these like speakers or whatever, and it sounded like an animated movie. How they were talking, it sounded like they were speaking for an animated movie.
yeah,
It didn't feel natural for me, and that kind of was off-putting for me for the whole movie. And I really did not like what they did in the end.
you didn't like
I
it.
thought it was cheap what they did, and I almost saw
I
it
can see
coming,
it.
but I did think it was cheap how they did it. Plus, I had been a little spoiled before the.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I can see. I can totally
barely.
see, but for whatever reason, I don't know. I just thought it was fun.
Okay,
To
well that's great.
use the cliche. I did. So, okay. So we also had Baby Driver, and yeah, I don't think I thought this was as much of a masterpiece as some people seem to think, but I really had fun with it. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those movies that I feel like you can't really think about it very much, because if you do, then it starts to kind of fall apart. Like, how did they get away with that? And how did they get away with that? And how did that work? And if you start to think about it, then you're just like, it loses some of the fun of it. I didn't think the ending worked for Baby Driver. I didn't really like either of the female characters. I didn't think that I thought one, the Lily James character is just, she should be asking more questions about this guy, I think. And she's just such a sort of, she was such a naive character, I guess. So I didn't really buy the decision she makes in the end. And then the other characters just sort of the kick butt kind of character. So they're both kind of bland, I thought, both of the female characters. But I thought it was edited super well. It was super entertaining. I thought the action scenes were really fun. The music was great. It had great chemistry, everybody. I thought all the performances from all the guys was really good. It gets a little silly with John Hamm towards the end. But it was an entertaining movie. I definitely give it a smile.
Okay. Well, this is definitely my favorite that we've talked about so far.
Okay.
So you made me a little nervous with the stuff you were saying earlier on. I really don't have much to critique about this. I went with friends and they had their critiques of it, but anything that they didn't like, I thought was perfectly fine. This is number 2 for the year for me so far.
Okay.
I've seen it twice. Yeah, I just, especially the first couple of scenes of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
just how perfect it fits with the music. This
Yeah.
is I read a little bit. Edgar Wright, he sent the cast the soundtrack for the movie before, like as they got the script, they got the soundtrack with it,
Yeah.
which is completely unconventional. Apparently, Quentin Tarantino told him, "Don't build your movie around the music. You can't do that. It doesn't work out." He did it anyways, and it worked perfectly for me.
Yeah.
There's so many subtle things that you don't even pick up on the first time. Like every little action fits in with the music, and it's genius for me. And I love Scott Pilgrim. That's one of my favorite movies, which was also an Edgar Wright film.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
it makes
can't
sense that I would
be
love this.
it can't be denied that about the music and the editing. It was flawless.
Mm.
It can't be
Yeah,
denied. It was really good. And the heist stuff was very entertaining, I thought.
yeah, and I get what you're saying about the characters, but I think this is a movie that veers away from realism, and it kind of makes the characters one dimensional, but it's in a way that works for me. It's
Yeah.
like uh, almost like a cartoon for me. I don't know how to describe it very well, but I loved what they did with Lily James, and I love John Hamm's girlfriend. I can't remember her
Mm.
name,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
there wasn't a character that I didn't think worked in this movie.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was a
I
fun,
have
fun
nothing but
film.
praise to say about this. So I would, if you haven't seen it, please go see it because it's so much fun, I think.
So this is our second double smiles.
Yeah, I think
Third one.
technically it's our third because I think we both gave Pirates a
Oh yeah, you're
smile.
right. You're right. You're right. You're
And I
right.
gave it a weak smile.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then you had The House. Did you see this?
I didn't. It didn't
Me
get very
either.
good reviews, which I didn't have high expectations for this
Yeah.
anyways.
Me either. So okay.
Yeah.
So then Spider-Man Homecoming. So I thought this was very entertaining. I thought it was solid. I enjoyed it. I think the hyperbole is a little strong on it, but I don't think it's the best Spider-Man movie ever made. I don't think it's like, I don't know. I enjoyed it, but it was solid. It was entertaining. Tom Holland was good. I thought that him and his friend were really had good uh, chemistry together. I thought another movie. I thought the female characters were a miss. I thought they were very one note. But Michael Keaton, I don't think he's better than Loki, like some people are saying. But he was good. He was entertaining as the villain, and yeah, I mean, I have some nitpicks about the action. It felt more like Iron Man action to me than Spider-Man. Like there was so little of him like swinging through this, like, I don't know. But I really liked Tony in this. I thought he was actually like was sort of back to the old school Tony that we hadn't seen in a long time. He's been so like brooding and sad in the last like 3 movies that it was sort of fun to see him back to his quippy self. But it doesn't really make sense when you think about the end of Civil War. Like it's a little confusing, but I don't care. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I thought it was and I think if I was a high school student, I would love it. So it was definitely a smile for me. Uh, but yeah, so
Yeah, it's a smile for me as well. I put this number 7 for the year.
okay,
Like what I was saying earlier about Wonder Woman, how the ensemble kind of let me down. It was the opposite for the, well, not the opposite, but uh, because I did like Spider-Man as well. But I really liked all of the side characters. It sounds like you can love them all.
yeah. I
But
hated Flash. He was very annoying. I thought
okay,
that was
I
very
mean he was
annoying.
annoying, but like he's supposed to be annoying, right?
I don't know.
This
He was
not
too annoying.
in a good way.
But I
Yeah,
loved Ned. I thought Ned was awesome. So
Ned's so great. Ned
he
Muse
was
is only
so good. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it felt very different
Mm-hmm.
from all the other Spider-Man movies, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the other Spider-Man movies kind of got in a rut, and I'm in the minority where Amazing Spider-Man 2 is actually my favorite Spider-Man movie. I know a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people hate it,
Mm-hmm.
um, but even though the last Spider-Man movie I loved, like I still like that this went in a completely different
Yeah.
direction, and it felt like a high school. It felt like a high school, almost comedy,
Mm-hmm.
action comedy, because the director he pushed upon the kids who were starring kids.
I
They were
just
in it.
thought Liz and Zendaya were both kind of flat,
Okay,
very one
yeah,
note
but I mean,
characters.
yeah, he like had them watch Breakfast Club, those type of movies, Pretty in Pink,
Mm.
Um, so I think that's why we got that kind of feel for it, or at least I did.
Yeah, I did
I
too.
like Zendaya's character. Um, but yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It had a twist that I did not see coming. I don't know if you saw that coming, the twist with Vulture.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't as I thought it was sort of telegraphed in the trailer, but I still enjoyed it. It was definitely very chilling when he's in that car, and that was
Yeah.
very well done. I just don't think he's as good as Loki. I think people are saying
No,
little strong.
no, he's not. I agree with that. Yeah.
But I liked him. He was great, and Michael Keaton's always good in the role, and I'm excited to see where they go off from here with the Donald Glover character, because that was sort of underused.
Right.
I'm curious to see what they'll do with him. And the most important thing to me in this movie was Ned and Spider-Man and Peter and Spider-Man, and they were great. I have no complaints about it.
Yeah.
Tom Holland was
Absolutely.
fabulous, really good. So I enjoyed it. It's definitely it's definitely liked it way better than Guardians, that's for sure.
Yeah, and what did you think of that post-credit scene?
Well, the first
Wow.
one I was like confused by because I didn't understand who that was, but I guess
Right.
later on I realized that it was I guess Scorpion.
Right.
But then like Captain America was so funny. I love that. Was like my favorite joke throughout the whole movie was the Captain America stuff. That made me laugh. That was
Yeah, the best part, and I guess we're kind of spoiling this a little bit, but somebody that was with me is like, "Gosh, when are these or when are these credits going to be over so we can go?" And then we get this PSA from Captain America talking about patience.
I really,
So
yeah,
it
that
was
was
just perfect.
really funny. Okay, so let's move on. So we had War for the Planet of the Apes. And this is a movie I've kind of struggled with. I definitely smile worthy for sure. It's in my top 15 of the year, but I don't know. I've been trying to figure out like, should I have it in my top 10? Should I have it in my top, like, where do I want to place it? Because I can't imagine watching it very much. Like it's so like Dawn was so rewatchable and was so entertaining, and I love it so much. And this was just so brutal to the characters, and it was so hard to watch. These characters we love get beaten and treated this way, and you do get vindication by the end, and there are moving moments, and it's extremely well made and extremely well done. And I admire them for making such a bold film. I'm just trying to decide with myself how much that rewatchability comes into play in my choices. But it's definitely, like I said, it's in my top 15. So I really liked it. But it's brutal. It was a tough sit, I thought.
Okay. Well, as far as rewatchability goes, I don't know if you know this, but in the first 2 weeks that it was out, I saw it 3 times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I found it rewatchable, and there were things I picked up on each time that I appreciated more and more. It's my number 1 movie of the year. But part of it is that I just really love this franchise, the new franchise that is. Like, all 3 of the movies have been so good for me. It's got to be hands down my favorite trilogy of movies. So yeah, I just loved it. They did go an interesting direction with it that you wouldn't have expected, especially based on the title. It didn't feel like a war movie necessarily. It felt more of like a prisoner movie.
Right.
But yeah, they did some great things that tied in just, I guess, how people interact with the apes in the original movie Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So I liked what they did with that. I like the resolutions that we got.
And it's really kind of an Exodus story. I've only seen it once, so I think I really need to see it again. And so just to kind of cement my opinion about what I think, but yeah, it was, some of the stuff was really hard to watch though, to me, like to see basically Caesar almost get crucified at a certain point. That was tough to see him get beaten. That was tough. And because I am so attached to these characters. And maybe part of it too is I saw it in a marathon. So I'd seen 1, 2, and then 3.
Okay.
So I was pretty emotionally exhausted by, sort of that. And so maybe I'll like it better if I'm just just watching that one as opposed to the whole thing altogether. But it was a very bold movie, and I admire them. They could have made that so much safer and made way safer, more like commercially acceptable sort of choices. And but they chose to really do something bold, and I really admire them for that. And I thought that pretty much all the decisions worked. It was just such a draining movie for me. I was like, oh, so sad.
Yeah, and I think that's good sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I need that in movies sometimes. So I thought it was the correct way to go with the conclusion for this trilogy. And it did have, like, the very end scene I thought was perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know how you felt about it.
Oh, I loved it.
I mean,
it was really good.
It was beautiful. It was heartbreaking. It was everything it needed to be to
when it kind of
brings,
it kind of brings home that whole sort of Moses feel to the movie.
Right, exactly.
You know, because that's what happens to Moses.
I just got chills thinking about it. Like, honestly,
it has that feel of blockbusters that we used to get that didn't feel as sort of corporate as many blockbusters feel now, like something like a Lawrence of Arabia or a Ben-Hur or something like that. Right. You know, to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good, and Woody Harrelson was so chilling, and yet you saw like I think some reasons behind what he was doing, and so all right, so yeah, we both.
Oh wait, also, Bad Ape, the new character.
Yeah.
So great, like. All three showings that I saw, the audience was cracking up with things that Bad Ape did.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to realize that was his name, but he's Bad Ape.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I thought that what they did with the little girl worked. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a cliche that like every movie has like the quiet little girl, you know, character.
Right, and we kind of got like Logan earlier this year. Yeah. So.
Even
but they didn't know that was going to happen.
Logan, what time of day? But it worked. It was good. That scene where she's feeding them is really moving and beautiful. Mm-hmm. She brings them the water. So yeah,
I need to see it a fourth time.
I know. I need to see it again, and I bet it'll. Because right now I have it at like 13, I think, in my rankings. Okay. But I've gone back and forth with it. It's really hard. Okay. But that's a question of how much do I like it, not do I like it. I really like it. Okay. So then July 21st, you had Dunkirk. And this is actually in my top 10. And I think that I get it that why this movie doesn't work for some people. But to me, this movie was like a reenactment. Back home in Maryland, they do these like Civil War reenactments, and it's not about the characters; it's about the battle and reenacting the battle. And I felt like that was sort of this. That's what this did in movie form. You just got to experience a battle, and I thought it was really cool. And I thought that it was just you felt so real. This is not one I'd want to own on DVD or watch again, but it was such a cool experience at the theater to me.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool experience for me. I put this number 8 for the year. So is this the first one we both have in our top 10? Maybe Spider-Man. I don't know if that was in your top 10.
No, it's not in my top 10.
Well, then this is the first one.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So it's right now I have it at number 8 for me too.
Okay. Both 8.
Yeah, for the year. So
yeah, there's so much I liked about this. What's interesting about the movie is you don't really get the character names. There's one character name, like George is the one name that we heard a lot. But other than that, you're not knowing necessarily the names of the characters, but it doesn't matter because you are experiencing what they're going through. It feels like you're exactly like in the scene where they're in that ship that's been washed upon the shore and it's filling up with water. You feel like you're in that with them.
You do.
At least I did.
I did too.
And I felt like the score added so much to this movie. It had an intensity from the very start of the movie that continued on. And usually that's a shift we get in the score, like maybe like an hour into it, like this type of movie. But it almost felt like this was a longer movie and they cut out the exposition for the first 45 minutes and just got straight to the action, which I appreciated with the film.
It just felt like
There's
a
three
ticking
different,
clock. The score. It felt like
right.
yeah. It was really good.
Yeah, it was so intense, and it made you feel like anxious and invested right from the start.
Yeah.
There's three different timelines, which I thought worked really well. It took me a little while to figure out what was going on there, but I
Mhm.
really liked what happened with that. So I really
Yeah.
don't have anything negative to say about this
And I
movie.
think if it had been longer, I think they were so smart to make it the length that it was, because I think that
Mhm.
technique, it would have maybe started to get a little boring. It would have started to get a little bit frustrating to not know the characters more. But I think at the length that it was, it just worked as this sort of experience at the theater, and it was really cool. So, yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you there. I actually have Apes at 11. I look at my thing. So, it's
Oh, okay.
pretty high.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I wouldn't have expected to like this movie as much because I thought it was going to be a war movie, and it's not. It doesn't feel like a war movie to me. Do you know? I
Yeah.
mean, it's not even a successful like. It's not a successful battle. It's
Yeah.
it's all about something that didn't go well,
Yeah.
and how normal people come to the rescue. Like the heroes are people who live in the UK, and they're just helping out these people who are in a time of need. So I really liked everything
Yeah.
about it.
So yeah, it's really good. So the next one that opened that weekend is Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, and I actually really liked this movie. I thought it was a fun ride. I thought that of course, it was very visually immersive. We knew that going into it, but a lot of the stuff that people have complained about, for whatever reason, it just didn't bother me. I don't. I didn't think that. Some people are saying it's really confusing and convoluted. I didn't feel that way. I felt like it was just basically two detectives looking into this, into this case, and they find clues all along the way. I actually liked Rihanna's role. I thought that it was good. I thought that had some heart to it. I liked the scene where it had some things I've never seen before, which was really cool. I liked the scene where they're in that hologram market. That was super cool, I thought, and I don't know. I just
Mhm.
enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining. So smile worthy for me.
Yeah, I agree. I put this number 13 for the year. I did have really high expectation. War and this were the two movies I was most looking forward to for the summer. So it wasn't like my second favorite movie of the summer,
Hmm.
but I still really enjoyed it. Visually, it was so good.
Yeah.
Um, I thought, yeah, they had some interesting things that we haven't seen in a movie, so that worked for me. My biggest issue was with Valerian himself. Just the character they were trying to portray him as just didn't work with the actor. Like they
Yeah.
were trying to make him this like womanizing ladies man,
Hmm.
and he's just so like small framed and not the most attractive guy. So it just didn't. It wasn't believable for me.
Yeah, it
And
probably would have worked better for like a Chris Pratt or somebody like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
And the
do.
chemistry between the two leads, it didn't work completely for me. I wasn't buying that he was so desperate to marry this girl. It felt kind of cheesy, but that was one of my only complaints.
Yeah.
So I
I
really enjoyed it
I
more
heard
than
somebody
most.
say they should have gotten the Passengers cast in Valerian instead, and that's so true. Like Jennifer Lawrence and
Yeah.
Chris Pratt would have been so good.
Oh
But
yeah.
but I still, like I said, I still enjoyed it. I think it's one of my, I would say, more underrated picks of the summer. I think
Okay.
wish people had given it a shot because
Yeah.
I thought it
Same.
was an entertaining ride, and so it's actually at
Yeah.
number 19 for me uh,
Okay.
of the
Yeah. I
year.
just wish it was more popular so we could get a sequel because I don't know if we can get a
Exactly,
sequel at this rate.
because I think that they could improve it. They've got all the world building down. They could fix those little things that weren't as good.
Right.
And
Yeah, and I do agree. Rihanna's character Bubble is Bubble or Bubbles? I think it's
something
just
like that.
Bubble.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I loved Bubble so
yeah, she
much.
was good.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So next was Girls Trip. I didn't see this. You see it? Heard good things.
I did. Yeah, maybe like the hardest I've ever laughed at a movie in the theater. It was
Ah.
so funny. Yeah, it's so profane and crude. So if you can get past that, which it's not for everybody,
Right,
I
right.
wouldn't recommend this to you. But if that's something that doesn't bother you in a movie necessarily,
Yeah.
I think that you would love this movie. So I'd recommend this highly because
Oh,
it's so
cool.
funny. Tiffany Haddish, I mean, I don't think she has a lot of experience in film, but she's going to be the next big thing.
Mm.
She was one of the characters that she just had all of the funny lines, all the funny moments. Well, not all of them, but she had most of them. Uh, I thought all four of the women in this, they all brought something really great to the film. Queen Latifah probably was the weakest for me, but
Okay.
it just was so good. And I think part of what added to it was we had such a reactionary audience. Like our audience was like 75% black women. So they were really feeling it. And then my group of friends, we were really feeling it as well. So it was just a great experience. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I put this number
Cool.
6 for the year.
I forgot to say my favorite comedy of the summer is definitely The Big Sick. I don't know if you got a chance to see this yet, but it was so
I
funny.
did.
So at least I loved it. It's my third favorite of the year. I just thought it had such warmth and such great performances, and it's a true story. And I thought it was funny, and I don't know, just really enjoyed it. So that was my favorite comedy.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Yeah. That one I have at 23 for the year, which I mean that may sound bad to people, but I still
Mhm.
enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty unique as
Yeah.
far as what we see lately with comedies. So I enjoyed a lot of it.
Yeah.
It
And I
just,
think some of
yeah.
the coming from a very religious like family and things, I related to some of those themes as well. Like
Oh yeah.
him having to deal with that. I thought that was really true. It felt emotionally true.
Same. I completely relate to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much
So
I relate to with him.
yeah. So okay. Then we had July 28th, Atomic Blonde. I did not see this. Did you see it?
I did see this. Yeah, I didn't have high expectations for this. It was good. It's not my kind of movie, so
Mm,
that's where I have an issue with it, if anything. I mean, I can't really say that it was a bad movie. I'm just not big on movies that are like constant action like that. Um, but yeah, it really wasn't bad. I like the soundtrack. I like kind of the blue tint to the film. Um, I would probably put this like a weak frown. I have it 32 for the year,
okay.
but that really just comes to personal preference. I think other people who like that kind of movie, if you like Bond films, like I like some Bond films, but they're not my favorite. But if you like that kind of movie, you'll
Yeah.
probably like this.
Okay. So then uh, we had just one more film that we talked about last time, which was The Dark Tower, and I thought this was a
Right?
huge miss. I thought this was so incompetently made, competently edited. I thought it looked terrible. I thought the special effects. I thought Matthew McConaughey was Razzie worthy. I thought he was terrible. And like the book is so fun the way it like builds tension between the man in black and the gunslinger, and they have like a real rivalry. You didn't get any of that feeling at all. And like the whole it like I think I would have liked this. To me, this felt very Warcrafty. I would have been so confused if I hadn't read the book and uh, like as far as what the lore was with the Dark Tower, and I don't know. I thought it was really bad. Like you go to these different worlds and you're like, why are we here? What are we trying to get here? I have no idea. Who are these people? We're supposed to care when they die, but we've just met them. So like, why are we supposed to care? And I frown.
Okay, well, we're definitely on the same page. This is actually where the movie I've ranked the lowest of anything we've talked about. I put
Yeah,
it at 41.
it's really
Um,
bad.
yeah, I just saw it and it was a chore for me to stay awake through it.
Yeah.
And I just thought the dialogue, everything about it was really cheesy. I didn't care about the characters at all. Um, I thought the little boy was probably one of the best actors, which is pretty sad considering how well established these other actors
Yeah.
are. So yeah, it was a big letdown. I was kind of interested when I first started seeing the trailers. I started losing interest eventually, but yeah, it was not good. I
And
would,
Idris Elba was good, but
yeah,
in a way that makes it even worse because they wasted a good Idris Elba
right,
performance. So I can't give it credit for that. And
yeah,
I just thought it looked like a cheap TV movie.
yeah. Well,
It didn't look
I don't
good.
know if I would go that far. I remember specifically there were certain scenes where I thought visually it looked really good, um, but overall it felt like the host, which I hated that.
Yeah, that was just so bad.
Yeah, it felt like about on par with that quality.
Oh
So
dear. Yeah. Oh.
yeah.
All right. Well, so there's just a couple other quick ones we talked about. So hold on. So Detroit, you just saw that today, huh?
I did. Yeah, I saw that earlier. And I went to a theater like you saw. I don't remember which movie. Where they
Oh,
brought food out.
The Lux Theater.
Yeah, yeah. We had recliners, so they brought food out to us. Wow, that was a very intense movie.
Yeah.
It it almost felt like a horror movie at certain
Yeah.
parts. It just left you like your heart hurting. Like you had so much empathy for these people that went through this excruciating situation. Catherine Bigelow, I think she's a great director.
Yeah.
Um, she really knows how to take these moments in history and really put you inside them and really experience what these people went through. So I thought it was stunning. I
Hmm.
haven't ranked it yet for the year, but it's definitely going to be high for me.
Yeah, it's in my top 10. I really debated about this one. Should I see it? Should I not see it? Because I knew that it was a pretty strong R-rated content. It was pretty brutal. But I finally decided, like there's certain movies that I feel like are historically important and you can learn something from it.
Right.
And so like I think it's worth it. And I had enough friends and enough people tell me that it was worth it. So I decided to go see it. And I feel like it actually wasn't, maybe I just built it up too much in my mind, but it was super violent, don't get me wrong, but like I feel like it was all kind of clinical. Like it didn't like I hated with a passion the movie The Glass Castle. I thought it was terrible. And that movie like has violent scenes that like they try to emotionally like manipulate you and twist you. And that's not the case, I don't think, with Detroit. Like it feels almost like you're watching a documentary in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it is very, very brutal, I don't know, it just I felt like I could kind of absorb it and learn something from it, and it wasn't as like I hated Martin Scorsese's silence in that movie. Like there's a certain kind of
Right.
emotional manipulation that I really, really hate, and I didn't feel like this movie did it. I felt like this movie treated me with more respect than those
Yeah.
films. So it's like I said, it's number 10 for me for the year, but I've really struggled like kind of where to rank it, because it's hard when you're doing a ranking because they're all so different. Like, how do you rank The Big Sick versus Detroit? Like, they're so different. It's really
Right. Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. And I think this will be hard for me to rank as well. I mean, I know it will be high, but this is kind of like how War for the Planet of the Apes was for you. Like,
Yeah,
this would be hard to rewatch,
right.
just because it's really heavy and like, but
Yeah.
I thought it was so good.
If I was going to nitpick, my only real nitpick is I don't know if they needed to go to the courtroom scene. I almost feel like we could have just ended with them sort of walking away and I didn't think that John Krasinski was very good. I just didn't buy him in the
Oh
role.
yeah. Yeah.
But
That when he
nitpick.
came out, all of my friends laughed because we're used to Jim from The Office. So,
Yeah. And
um,
I liked him in 13 Hours. So he can I've seen him in, I don't know, he just didn't fit that character, I didn't think.
yeah,
Didn't work.
I do think the courtroom scene was necessary for the story they were trying to tell. The lack of justice that went on. Sorry if that's a spoiler, um,
Right.
but I do think it was necessary for what they're trying to tell us about civil rights issues that happened then and that are happening now. So
Okay.
yeah, I thought it worked.
And then we maybe want to talk a little bit about Logan Lucky. Have you seen this yet?
I have not.
I loved it. Like I feel
Okay.
like almost everybody else is more sort of, it was fine, kind of. and I'm like, it was so funny. I loved it. So I feel like I'm higher on it than most people, but I grew up in kind of a redneck town. And so I just thought they nailed it, that kind of humor and sort of this like redneck Ocean's 11. And I just thought it was really funny. It kind of reminded me of like Talladega Nights or that kind of like humor. I thought that all the actors were great. There's a couple cameos that I could have done without. Seth MacFarlane I didn't really like. And it kind of has this weird sort of ending that I didn't really work for. They could have ended it sooner, and I think it would have worked better. But I just walked out of it with a big smile on my face, having laughed a lot and having had a good time. So I enjoyed it.
Good. I might have to check it out then.
Yeah, I rate it at number 12.
Okay, wow.
So
yeah, that is pretty good.
Yeah. And then Annabelle Creation, I have not seen.
Yeah, I saw that this past Tuesday. I enjoy the whole Conjuring universe, but I did not like the first Annabelle. I thought it was really bad, but this was a huge improvement from it. There are people like who really love it. I'm not on that level with it, but I thought it had some good scares, and it added a lot to the connectedness of the whole universe. Let me see where I put this. I put this at 20 for the year, so that's pretty good.
Okay.
So I'd recommend it if you like horror.
Yeah, I've heard good things. That's a fun little horror movie. I've been too scared to watch any of the Conjuring movies. But I need to. I know they're good, but anyway.
Oh, the first one's the best by far. I saw that 3 times in the theater.
Okay, so then last, we'll talk about the one of the stinkers was the Emoji Movie. The Emoji Movie, I have to say, I think it's just a mediocre animated film. I've definitely seen worse animated films in my life than the Emoji Movie, but like it's definitely really bad. It's not a good movie. It's my third from the worst for the year, and it's really kind of, it makes you feel sort of sick the way that they're like marketing these apps to kids, and they just get like the whole sort of personality of teenagers completely wrong in the way that they use social media and the way that they use texting, and it's a very cynical movie actually, and it's not funny, I think, and it just feels super derivative. So I think particularly people that have seen a lot of movies are going to walk away being like, oh. Whereas like if you go to 3-4 movies a year, I can picture going to see the Emoji Movie and being like, oh, that was cute. Yeah. But it feels so derivative of Wreck-It Ralph and Minions and Inside Out, and I mean just the list is super long, and it's just a bad movie. So, but yeah, unfortunately, this year in animation has just been really bad. But
I didn't see it, and I go to a movie every Tuesday with friends, and I actually went to Florida for vacation. A week or 2 ago, and I specifically scheduled this for when I was on vacation for my friends to go see it, and nobody went to see it. But I didn't have much desire, especially when the reviews came out and it was getting torn apart.
Yeah. So my best of the summer is, I love this documentary called Step. That's my favorite movie of the year. But as far as mainstream, so Wonder Woman, so Step, Wonder Woman, The Big Sick, and then I have a bunch of other indies, but then Dunkirk, Detroit, War for the Planet of the Apes, Logan Lucky, Captain Underpants. Those are all in my top 15 of the year. And then my worst of the summer, King Arthur, Lady Macbeth, I really didn't like that. That was an indie. I really didn't like that. Gifted, I didn't like. The Book of Henry, I was so bad. You have to see it to believe it. Like, it's just so, like, it's so bizarre. It is sort of on that so bad it's good kind of territory, because there's nothing more funny than like a bad movie that's sincere and is taking itself completely seriously and thinks it's like an Oscar winning movie. It's really bad. Like I would way rather watch The Book of Henry than Transformers. because it's so bad. Anyway, then Transformers, The Dark Tower, Emoji Movie, and The Glass Castle. I hated The Glass Castle. I thought that the thing I hated so much about it is that I felt like he was such an awful person and an awful father. And it's not like a survival story. It's not like Room or something like that where this person is surviving this awful thing. I felt like he then became sort of the moral voice of the story. Like he's the one giving her lectures about how to live her life and and I'm like, you did not earn that. You did not earn him telling her how to live her life and judging her as an adult. And that really bothered me. And I felt like, at the end we're toasting him and he's just been this horrible person. And I just felt like they were asking us to embrace this terrible person as this free thinker, and this it really made me mad. I hated it. I was so angry after I saw this movie. I'm not kidding. I was like shaking. I was so upset because it just made me so angry that like these kids were put through this horrible thing and that they were asking us to celebrate the life of this horrible human being. And so that, to me, that's worse than just like a bad movie, is one that like offends me and makes me angry.
So that was your least favorite of the summer?
Yeah, it's my least favorite of the year. I hated it.
Okay, wow.
So even though it has good performances and stuff, like when you offend me like that, then that's like the worst thing you can do.
Okay, makes sense. I'll run through kind of like you just did. Yeah, so top for me, War for the Planet of the Apes, then Baby Driver, Girls Trip, Spider-Man Homecoming, Dunkirk, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Those are all in my top 10 for the year. Then I have Wonder Woman, Rough Night, Valerian, The Little Hours, which you would hate, but I thought it was really funny.
What's it called?
The Little Hours. It's about
heard of it.
It's about a convent of nuns. It's very offensive. It's very, it's crude.
Sounds good.
But if you like raunchy comedies, then you would like it. So yeah. Also, I did have Lady Macbeth pretty high. I can see why you didn't like it, but I thought it was good. The Beguiled I have pretty high as well.
The Beguiled I was disappointed in it. I have it at 42 on my list.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I felt like it was very well made, very pretty. But I felt that all of the women to me felt the same. And I guess really? Maybe I'm biased because I've seen the original. And I feel like the original, they're really different. And I feel like the original creates tension so much better than this. And I just found her choices kind of befuddling. But I can see why you liked it. It's not a horrible movie. I just, I don't know. But it's very well made, so.
Yeah, it is well made. So that, and then Annabelle Creation, I have all of those in my top 20. I do want to mention one that I just missed the top 20. It Comes at Night. Did you see that?
I did not. I heard about it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's very frustrating at the same time because it's a movie that leaves so many unanswered questions, but it's a good horror movie that doesn't totally feel like a horror movie. So I would recommend that. Yeah. So those were some of my favorites of the summer.
Yeah, if we're including indie movies, I really liked an anime film called A Silent Voice, and then a small, very small, one-man made animated film called The Girl Without Hands that I thought was really beautiful. And I guess this came out in like April, but I loved Personal Shopper with Kirsten Stewart. I thought it was really great. And I also really, it's in my top 10 for the year. I really liked this nutty Indian Bollywood film or Tollywood film called Bahubali 2, The Conclusion. It was really fun. And I also really liked a movie called Kedi, this documentary about these cats in Istanbul.
I want to see that.
It was really fun. It was really cute. Really cute. And I overall, would you say, do you like this season or this summer better than last summer, or do you think worse?
Oh yeah, I think I like it better than last summer. 2015 was a strong summer for me, but yeah, 2016 wasn't the best for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like this better.
2016, it was like almost every blockbuster disappointed me. Uh,
Yeah.
Civil War, I liked. Finding Dory,
Hmm.
I liked. There were a few, but for the most part, they were just. It just felt like I went to one disappointing screening after another
Hmm.
after another. So I think this is much better. I think the superhero movies have been way better.
Oh yeah,
It just animation has been lame. That's the one downside. If you don't go to these indies, it's been pretty rough. But
yeah.
anyway.
Um, yeah, and if I can talk about the movies that I was not crazy about this summer real
Oh yeah,
quickly.
please, please.
Um, I'll start with Atomic Blonde. I wasn't super impressed with. Cars 3, it was good, but not really for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, did the Belko experiment come out in the spring or the summer?
I can't remember, but
I think
that's
it
in
might
your
have been the
bottom.
spring, but it was disappointing. Yeah. Then The Mummy. I'm going progressively lower here.
Okay.
47 meters down. Um, The Dark Tower. But then actually my least favorite movie of the summer, it's a very unpopular opinion for me because critics love it. I don't know if you know where I'm going with
Yeah.
this, but A Ghost Story. I
Yeah.
hated it. Hated it.
You hated it.
I felt insulted, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt like the director was trying to do things that were so unique and artistic, and like they're things that do not work conventionally. And it was insulting to me that you can put this out and say, "Hey, this is quality," when it's really just crap for me.
It's
And then,
definitely a very artsy fartsy movie. It's not going
yeah.
to be for everyone, that's for sure. I have you ever seen Terrence Malick movies like Tree of Life or
I love
movies like
Tree of
that?
Life.
Okay, I felt like it was kind of felt like a Terrence Malick kind of movie where it's like more about sort of the art than like a narrative,
Yeah,
but it's certainly not as good as the good Terrence Malick movies.
right.
Um, I gave it a B because I thought I admired a lot of what they did, but I agree with you that like I'm not as high on it as a lot of people seem to be. I have a number of friends who were like very like emotional and crying, and it really like moved them.
Wow.
And yeah, and I definitely didn't get that from it.
Yeah.
But I gave
Can you
it.
imagine
I have
rewatching it?
no. I have it at 35 in my
Okay.
list. But I yeah, it's just a weird movie. It's a very weird movie. It's a very weird movie. So I can
Yeah. I
understand.
mean, there is literally a 5 minute pie eating scene,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even feel like it feels like she's acting as she's eating that pie. Like how she's eating it is so unnatural. Like I didn't
Yeah.
buy it. And he says that's his proudest achievement as a director is that scene. And
Yeah.
then
Hmm.
that people are eating it up like she ate up that pie.
Yeah, my friends, like it was such like a moving experience for them, and they thought about like how you're clinging on to material possessions and you have to let that stuff go and your legacy and all this stuff. And I don't know, like I admired it as an art piece, but I definitely I'm more on your side than on their side.
Okay. Good.
But I guess maybe a B was probably on the generous side, but I thought it was, I don't know, it was just one of those ones you kind of keep thinking about and like, what are they trying to say? And
Yeah. I
but
mean, there were things that worked for it. I think the second half of the movie was significantly better than the first half, but I was just done with it at
yeah,
that point with how slow it was. And it didn't feel like it was slow for any good reason.
yeah. So that would be your overrated of the year then, probably.
Yeah.
My overrated would probably be, um, I actually, I mean, this wasn't the summer, but my overrated is probably Split. I didn't care for it at all. I really didn't like how this whole sort of subplot of the girl getting raped by her uncle, like that sort of like prepared her to deal with this situation. I didn't like that. I didn't like the way that they portrayed like mental illness and multiple personality disorders, you know, as being this like scary thing, and that's such a cliche. And I thought the performances were good, but I'm just not a fan of M. Night Shyamalan. I don't, other people like are really rooting for this guy and they really like him, but I like The Sixth Sense, but I don't love it like people do. But pretty much I'm just not a fan of his style. I just don't like it. So
I mean, he's hit or miss, but
the twist,
I liked it.
The twist did nothing for me because I'm not that big a fan of Unbreakable, and so it's not like I was like, ooh, I'm so excited.
I love Unbreakable.
And
it worked for me. The twist did.
Yeah, I another one that I think is pretty overrated is Kong Skull Island. I thought that was just very mediocre. I thought the acting, the characters, I felt like every character felt like they were in a different movie. That, you know, like one was in like a revenge piece and the other was in like an adventure piece and the other was, you know, what was in like a military, you know, war film. And it was just I just didn't think it was, I thought that the lizard creatures looked really bad. And so those would probably be my overrated of the year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I love, it's actually my third favorite of the year. And
Kong
it's
Skull
not
Island?
like, yeah, it's not third best for the year for me, but just personal enjoyment. I liked it. I like King Kong. So I knew that I would like it before it even came out. And sure, it's personal bias, but it worked for me.
Cool.
So yeah.
That's good. I'm glad. And I'd say if I was going to say something underrated, I would say that I think that 47 Meters Down is a little underrated. Because I thought that was just an entertaining little movie. I get the flaws. What else do I think is a little underrated? I think Valerian is a little underrated.
It is. Yeah.
That'd be my other one.
The most underrated for the year for me probably would be Table 19. Yeah, you saw that?
I didn't care for it. But yeah, you liked it?
Yeah, I thought it was like one of the best of that genre that I've seen in years, honestly. So yeah, I can't wait to watch it again.
I thought that Lisa Kudrow and Craig Robinson were really good in it, and I wish the whole movie had been about them. I thought they were the saving grace of the film for me.
Okay, I liked everybody. Everybody worked for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I think my favorite character, I can't remember her name now. She was in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved her.
She was pretty fun.
She's great. So, June Squibb.
Yeah. Oh, another one that I actually think is a little underrated is the Smurfs Lost Village movie. I actually thought it was like really well animated. It has some problems, but overall I thought it was entertaining. And I certainly think it's better than a 33% that it's at in Rotten Tomatoes. I thought that it was very beautifully animated, and I think it really tried hard.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it, but I thought it looked a lot better than the live action ones.
Way better. But anyway, it didn't work with a lot of critics, so oh well. But anyway, well, that's been so fun to talk about these films with you.
Yeah.
And it's been, for me, I would definitely agree with you that I think this summer has been much better than last summer. So, Yay.
Yay. Hopefully this fall is good. I know there's quite a few movies that I'm really looking forward to this fall. So,
yeah, me too. I'm most excited for, obviously, Last Jedi, but I'm really excited for The Greatest Showman.
That looks good.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I love the first one. You're probably not excited about this, but I can't wait to see it. It looks so good. It looks so creepy.
They have been very good trailers, so maybe I'll build up my courage.
Yeah, I think the new Thor movie looks like it could be the best Thor movie, just based on the trailers. It looks like they're going more of a Guardians direction with this one, so I'm excited about that.
I'm really excited. Because I love Taika Waititi, the director. I've liked every movie I've seen of his, and I love Thor. I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. He's probably my favorite, even though the movies aren't the best. He's probably my favorite of the Avengers.
Okay,
I
fair
really
enough.
think he's charming.
What do you think? What do you think about Coco? Are you looking forward to that?
I am, of course. It's Pixar, so of course I'm going to look forward to it. I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest. I feel like feel like I've seen enough Disney movies to know when they're sort of nervous about a film and when they're like super confident about a film. And just like I feel like they would be marketing it more, that they would be putting out the music, that they would be pumping it, because there's no one who can do hype more than Disney. And I don't know, I'm just nervous. I feel like them adding this Frozen short to the top, kind of 22-minute Frozen short that was going to be on TV. It's like they had to have a reason to do that. You know, they had to be nervous about it in order to, they either had to be nervous about the people weren't going to go see the movie, so they add this Frozen thing to it, or they'd be nervous that it's not very good, and so we have to add this Frozen thing to it. I'm hoping that, I think it will be good. I mean, I haven't hated any Pixar movies, actually, so I'm sure I'll like it on some level, but I'm just trying to moderate my expectations because, I don't know, there's just a few things that make me nervous. I did not like the last trailer. I thought it was really weird and poorly done, and so I'm nervous about it. I want it to be good though, so bad.
No, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I mean, I love the Book of Life. I don't know if you saw it. Of course you saw that. But it feels like a rehashing of the Book of Life, which I don't think is necessary, but I'm optimistic just because it's Pixar, but otherwise I probably wouldn't be too intrigued by it.
I mean, I think that with the whole Book of Life, like the characters are very different. I mean, this is about a little boy going into the afterlife, whereas the Book of Life is about a grown man, and you know, seeking after his love.
Yeah, good point.
But and both of the creative teams behind both projects have been very like supportive of each other and everything. So I get that, but I can see that complaint, and I hope that it'll get people to watch The Book of Life because it's a really good movie and underrated. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they would be promoting it more if they really. So maybe I don't think it'll be a big bomb like the Good Dinosaur was, but I don't know. I just feel like, why would you add this 22-minute short, Frozen short, if you were super confident in your product?
Yeah, but I mean, the product itself can only do so much. I think that Pixar fans are so used to seeing sequels, and that's what they're really going to. And
yeah,
I mean, Inside Out wasn't a sequel, and it did really well. But maybe they're just nervous that people won't necessarily be excited to go see it because they don't know the characters yet.
Yeah, and it's not like it has a like the voice actors are well known, like Benjamin Bratt or somebody like that, but like not like with Finding Dory, you had Ellen pumping the movie 24/7 on her show. Like you had, and you know, the Toy Story movies, you have Tom Hanks, you have Tim Allen, you have these huge names, and it's not like it has something like that. So that may be also sort of why they decided to add Frozen. Is it just sort of a big name that they needed to kind of draw people to the theater, and because people love, a lot of people still love Frozen, especially little kids. So that's my hope, is because I actually at D23 they had a whole panel on the Frozen short. I actually think it's going to be really charming, really cute, and like it's not just a throwaway. They actually wrote, I think, 5 songs for it. Like, and it seems like they're actually trying to make it pretty good. And so I think that's my hope, is that they just added it to get more, you know, butts in the seat, but not because they're not confident in it.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? It'll at least be beautiful. We know that from Pixar.
True.
So,
very true.
But yeah, that's one of my The Greatest Showman, Kong Skull Island, and I'm really looking forward to Murder on the Orient Express.
Kong Skull Island.
Did I say that? I meant
yes.
I meant Thor. What's wrong?
Okay. Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, Thor Ragnarok. Yes. We're talking too long. But Murder on the Orient Express, I'm really looking forward to. The cast, I really like the novel. It's a lot of fun, and I feel like we don't get like detective stories all that often like that. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the story. Like I know my friends know how it ends already, but I think the trailer is really compelling. It's pretty simple, but it really made me excited to see it.
Mhm. Yeah. So, all right. Well, where can people find you?
You can find me in Film Freaks on Facebook, that Facebook group. I was doing a Survivor podcast. I don't know if we'll do that again with the next season that's coming out, but yeah, you can just find me at Film Freaks for now.
Great. I'll have a link to that in the description section. You should check it out. And thanks for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Talk about
I
movies.
enjoyed it.
So we will get together maybe at the end of the fall and talk about what we liked then.
Sounds good.
Okay.